Right to be Read podcast, episode number 52. You are a writer.
You are listening to the Right to be Read podcast, and this is your host, Ani Alexander.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Right to be Read podcast. It's me again, Ani Alexander, and today I will go solo. There will be no interview this time, and I'll talk about something that seems to be important to many of us. I'll share my thoughts about being a writer and how you get there. Every year, here in Armenia, we have the TEDx Yerevan event. I truly enjoy those events because every time they end up being really inspiring and uplifting experiences. I've been there for 3 years already. So I don't know if you've been in similar events, but usually in such events, during coffee breaks or lunchtime, the most common question people ask each other is so what do you do? At the event in 2012, when people asked that question to me, it was very hard for me to answer. At that time, I had quit my job and just started writing my first novel called High Fall. Well, actually, back then I did not even have the title, so it was just a novel. I had no idea what I would name later on. So maybe that is why I answered to that question with insecure and lame phrases, such as, well, I'm trying to write, I write a bit, or I want to be a writer. Well, sounds familiar, doesn't it? Well, I'm sure it does. The next year, after that, at TEDx event, it was completely different. That time was different because my life had gone through an important change over the past year, and that time I had no problem saying, I'm a writer. And I believed in every single word. The last time, which was actually the third time I went to TEDx Yerevan event, and it was this September, when I went there again, people were already introducing me to others, saying, this is Ani, she's a writer. And it sounded like music to my ears, actually. So let's get back to the very beginning. Those insecure phrases like, I'm trying to write, well, I write a bit. Well, I'm just wondering, what keeps us from saying, I'm a writer? It seems like we need a permission to write. We're looking for someone, and preferably that someone should be a publisher or a famous writer or an authority. We need them to tell that what we write is good, so we can keep on doing that. What do all those insecure phrases mean? Who is aspiring writer? Who is pre-published writer? Who is undiscovered writer? Who is almost a writer? What are all those words we put before writer for? To me personally, someone is either a writer or he is not. Jeff Goins, in his book, You Are a Writer, So Start Acting Like One, says, becoming a writer begins with a simple but important belief. You are a writer, you just need to write. And I completely agree with him, actually. You don't need to seek anyone's permission to write. You don't need to pass an exam to be called a writer and be able to share your story. You don't need to obtain any license for that. You don't have to want to become a writer. You simply need to be one. Writers write, and no one can take it away from them. Whether what you've written is liked by many or only few, that's a completely different question. You will never write a book which will be liked by everyone, so don't even try. By trying to please every single reader, you will only lose your unique voice. After all, it's better to be loved and adored by few than simply liked by many. Well, at least that's my personal approach to this. There will always be writer's doubts, and you will always have different challenges along the way. But that does not mean that you are not a real writer. In fact, there are no real or unreal writers. There's no such thing. Don't want to be a writer. Don't decide to become a writer. Decide to be one. I'm sure that if you are here now listening to me, then you have decided to be a writer. And you are. You are a writer. Don't wait for someone to acknowledge that fact. Don't waste time waiting for others' permission to call yourself a writer. Do your thing. Write. And please do me a favor. When someone asks what you do, gather all your confidence and faith and reply, I am a writer. Well, that was all I wanted to tell you today. Hopefully, I managed to pass my message through. Have a nice day and be writers.